Good evening. This is CTV News for Monday, February 11th. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Denise Douglas. Thank you for joining us. Well, sadly this evening, a family has been left without a place to stay after a fire ripped through their home. Take a look at the residence on Vermont Court in Landover. Fire was shooting from the second floor when crews arrived, according to a tweet from the fire department spokesman. The family got out safely. However, a firefighter was taken to the hospital with minor burns. An annual report released by a domestic violence awareness and prevention group indicates that the problem is not going away. As reporter Keisha Butts tells us, the findings are sobering.
46 Marylanders lost their lives to domestic violence last year, according to the Maryland Network Against Domestic Violence. The victims included 17 women, 2 teenage girls, and 7 men between July 2017 through June 2018. 5 bystanders who were also trying to help these victims lost their lives. This includes an off-duty cop. As a state, Maryland is ranked 10th in the country in female homicide by men and single victim or single offender incidents. If you feel threatened or find yourself in an abusive relationship, call the Family Crisis Center. The number is 301-731-1203. For CTV News, this is Keisha Butts.
Thank you, Keisha. She also tells us that today the organization is holding its annual homicide memorial service to honor those who passed away. The event starts at 7 in the evening in the joint hearing room of the Legislative Services Building in Annapolis.
Meanwhile, Councilwoman Jolene Ivey is launching a new domestic violence awareness campaign called Love Shouldn't Hurt. As part of the campaign, Ivey visited the 211 Domestic Call Center this morning, where she talked about resources people can use. She says there can be a spike in abuse around Valentine's Day, and with this holiday approaching, it's important to highlight how everyone should be treated.
Today is 211, February 11th, and it's also the perfect day for everyone to remember the number to call if you're in an abusive situation, which is 211. You know, right here in Prince George's County, we have a really excellent resource for domestic violence victims. And during this week of Valentine's Day, time of love and romance, sometimes it's not very romantic in your own relationship, and sometimes people are abused. We have resources here in Prince George's County to help people who are in bad situations, and we just wanted to give some resources of how people can get out.
They can call that simple number and talk with a trained counselor who can either just be a shoulder, you know, somebody that they can just talk to that will have some compassion and some support, or can figure out what resources they may need. The first priority is always safety. Let's make sure you're safe. And if you're not safe, how do we get you safe?
And for more information on resources that the county offers, you can visit the Councilwoman's Facebook page at Council D5 Ivy.
Well, Prince George's District Council heard oral arguments today for and against the concrete batching plant in Bladensburg. Ernest Mayer already has a facility in Bladensburg off of Annapolis Road, but it wants to expand and add a batching plant. The county's zoning hearing examiner approved the expansion in August with a list of conditions, including a limit on the number of truckloads that can move into the plant each day. The Port Towns Environmental Action Committee filed an appeal, which was heard in the council hearing today. The group opposes the facility based on a number of environmental issues.
There's 2 main issues. One is the placement of the plant. We contend that it doesn't fit with the zoning laws in the area that is proposed. The second is that our area bears a disproportionate amount of environmental effects, and so we don't feel it's fair for yet another plant to be put in our area.
We have brought up these issues only when we filed an application to put a plant there. We have and always have been committed to operating the plant in the most safest in our entire facility. I think it's an exciting opportunity for the county, for the town. We employ 70 people within walking distance of our facility. This will allow us to employ another 25 people.
Either side can appeal the district council's decision.
In 4 days, we could be headed for a second government shutdown this year. There seemed to be a deal in the making between Democrats and Republicans last week to fund the government and boost border security short of paying for a wall. But the talks broke down over the weekend in a dispute over limits demanded by Democrats on the number of places available in detention centers used by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Now, while many are hoping to prevent another shutdown, Senator Ben Cardin says there is legislation in the works that would not allow them at all in the future.
There's a legislation that would provide for an automatic continuation of funding if there was an impasse like we saw in December. So we are looking at that type of legislation, and it would be good, we think, to get that done for at least the remainder of this presidential term. Well, there should never be a shutdown. So what we want to do is get through the impasse of a president that wants to use a shutdown as a strategy. You should never use a shutdown as a strategy.
And that last government shutdown lasted 35 days.